Clang of metal on metal echoed through Jack Thornton's mechanic shop, a rhythm of regret that had settled into his life. Sunlight filtered through dusty windows, revealing the clutter of tools and car parts that formed his daily existence. Once a celebrated country music star, Jack now felt as if he were merely going through the motions of life, the spark of excitement long extinguished. The old radio crackled with a familiar country tune, but he barely registered the sound. His heart was heavy, caught in the web of memories that seemed to haunt the corners of the cramped shop. Just then, his cell phone rang, a sharp intrusion in the silence. Startled, he glanced at the screen. It was Clara, his estranged sister. "Jack?" Her voice trembled like a fragile leaf in the wind. "It's about Dixie." Dixie. The name struck like a cold wave, summoning bittersweet memories of childhood adventures. "Is she—" Jack's voice trailed off, the words lodged in his throat. "She's not well, I thought you should know." Clara's tone carried the weight of urgency, mixed with unspoken resentment. With a heaviness in his chest, Jack replied, "I'll come by." As he ended the call, the familiar guilt washed over him, intertwining with memories of chasing fame while neglecting those who loved him. Driving to the old barn, he braced himself for the emotions that lay ahead. The weathered building stood stolid against the Texas sky, paint peeling like the dreams he once held dear. Jack hesitated at the entrance, the familiar scent of hay and earth touching him with nostalgia. Inside, the barn exuded an eerie quiet, memories dancing in the shadows. There lay Dixie, frail and still, her once vibrant eyes now dulled by age and illness. Jack knelt beside her, his breath hitching at the sight. Recognition flickered in her gaze, breaking through the haze of time. Tenderly he reached out to stroke her neck, recalling the joy they once shared, the gallops through sun-soaked fields, the laughter that filled the air. Guilt rose within him. It was the culmination of years of neglect for the sake of a fleeting dream. Unyielding tears began to gather in his eyes. He closed them tightly, trying to shut out the reality of his life. Dixie's breaths were shallow, a reflection of his own emotional decay. Jack felt utterly alone in the shadow of his choices. The barn, once a sanctuary of love and music, had transformed into a stark reminder of everything he had lost. In that moment, all he could sense was the profound emptiness of his own life, a life once filled with music and familial love, now nothing more than echoes of missed opportunities and missed connections. Jack's heart ached as he realized that the real heartache wasn't just the horse before him, but the life he had forsaken. Memories flooded Jack's mind like a river swollen with rain. As he knelt beside Dixie, the past wrapped around him, each recollection a soft whisper in the silence of the barn. The sound of laughter, his own youthful, carefree laughter, was a sweet song that echoed in his ears. Images of a vibrant life danced before him, the gleam of the sun reflecting off a shiny horse saddle, the smells of fresh hay mixed with the sweet scent of pine, and the chaotic joy of family gatherings. Jack could almost see himself as a boy again, racing through endless fields with Dixie galloping beside him. He remembered how their laughter intertwined with the melodies he strummed on his guitar. They had been inseparable, partners in adventure. His family had always been tight-knit, warm warmth flowing through their small Texan home like the golden sun spilling across the horizon. Clara, with her wild curls and infectious laughter, would often join him in their secret adventures, building forts out of hay bales and dreaming of the big world beyond their small town. Jack's father, a modest farmer and part-time musician, had nurtured his son's love for music. "Dream big, Jack," he would say, his voice a blend of encouragement and wistfulness. "But remember where you came from." These words echoed in Jack's mind now, as he sat in the very barn where he had learned to play guitar under his father's watchful eye. Those notes had been woven with a love that he now felt he had discarded for the empty allure of fame. But life, as he had come to learn, was not as simple as the melodies that flowed from his fingers. As he honed his craft, Jack had become swept away by the bright lights of the stage, burying the intimate connections of his past under a pretentious layer of celebrity. Each milestone had taken him farther from home, awards, applause, and the fleeting highs of stardom. In those moments, the old adage of not forgetting one's roots seemed impossibly distant. The contrast was stark now. As he stroked Dixie's thin coat, he felt a deep sorrow, the heartbreak of abandoning his family, the friends who had once cheered him on, but were now shadows in his memory. Clara had raised her children alone, keeping their family ties intact, while he chased a dream that had quickly morphed into a nightmare. "Why did I let it go?" he murmured, voice barely a whisper. Dixie's soft breath came in hesitant bursts, a reminder of the 22 years he had spent apart from the bonds of family and loyalty. It had taken years of chasing his dreams to realize what he had lost in the process. Jack leaned against the wooden wall of the barn, the rustic texture grounding him as the weight of his remorse settled deeper. Regret washed over him, mingled with longing for the youthful aspirations that had once seemed so tangible. He had traded joy and simplicity for empty accolades and the high price of success. Amidst these chaotic emotions, a flicker of something else began to rise, a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, reconnecting with the past could light a new path for him. Jack took a deep breath, feeling the palpable energy of the barn, a space that had always resonated with love. It was the very womb from which he had been born as a musician. Could it also be the place where he might start again? Suddenly, he was filled with an overwhelming need to express himself. He stood up, his resolve sharpening. The old guitar rested in the corner, gathering dust yet eagerly waiting for a hand to caress its strings once more. Jack walked over and lifted the instrument, feeling its familiar weight settle over him. As he sat back down, the wood felt warm against his fingers, like a long-lost friend. He plucked the strings lightly, searching for the melody that had once flowed so freely. It took a moment, but the song began to emerge, one about love, loss, and the beauty of returning home. The notes rang out softly, filling the barn with sound once more. Outside, the world continued to turn, but for Jack, time stood still as he poured his heart into the music. With each note he played, shards of guilt and remorse were swept away, replaced by a burgeoning sense of connection, a feeling of renewal beating alongside the rhythm of his song. Memories rolled through the melodies like a warm summer breeze, wrapping him in nostalgia but also gentle understanding. The barn no longer felt like a tomb of missed opportunities. Under his fingers, it transformed into a hallowed space of healing. Each chord seemed to resonate with the whispers of his past, reconstructing the pieces of his life he had once let slip away. It was his chance to honor the roots that had shaped him and to rekindle the love that had once flourished amid the sprawling Texas fields. And with every strum, something started to shift within him, a small but undeniable flicker of hope igniting in the depths of his heart. He wanted to rebuild more than just a musical connection. He wanted to reclaim lost relationships, mend broken ties, and heal. As the chords rang through the barn, Jack found himself daring to dream again. The melody Jack played drifted softly through the barn, weaving a tapestry of nostalgia that cradled his heart. Each note freed him from the chains of regret and despair, and as he strummed, a new resolve began to build within him. Finally, he understood that he needed to confront not just his past, but the shadows of his choices that haunted him daily. Setting the guitar aside, he gathered his thoughts. He would need to face Clara, the sister he had left in the shadows while he basked in the glow of fame. Memories of their shared laughter flooded his mind. Summer days spent riding horses, hiding secrets in the tall grass, whispering dreams beneath a starlit sky. He longed to reconnect, to bridge the vast gulf that had formed between them. Stepping out of the barn, Jack inhaled the familiar scent of fresh earth and hay, the Texas sun setting on the horizon like a balm for his soul. He drove toward Clara's house, each mile reminding him of lost moments and missed milestones. His heart raced as he approached her front door, anxiety swelling within him like a storm. He knocked quietly, the sound echoing through the silence. It felt surreal to be here, where laughter had once echoed through the halls. Clara opened the door, her expression shifting from surprise to wariness, eyes scanning the face of the brother she hadn't seen in years. "Jack," she said, her voice a delicate blend of hope and hurt. "What are you doing here?" "I'm here to talk," he replied, anxious but resolute. After a moment's hesitation, she stepped aside, allowing him to enter. The living room radiated warmth, adorned with family photos and the vibrant art of her children. Yet, as Jack looked around, he felt the heaviness of his absence like a palpable weight pressing down on him. "Things have changed, haven't they?" Clara's tone was cautious, a shield against the vulnerability he had laid bare. "They have," he admitted. "I've changed. I see that now, but I'm here because I want to make things right. I need to own my mistakes." Clara turned toward the window, her silhouette framed by the fading light. "Do you understand what you left behind? I raised those kids on my own while you chased dreams that took you away. You have no idea how hard it's been." "I know I can't erase the past," he said, stepping closer, "but I want to be part of their lives again, part of yours. I've been lost, and I realize now that chasing fame only blinded me." Silence enveloped them, heavy and charged. Clara's glance flickered between anger and something softer, perhaps hope. "It's not that easy, Jack. Healing takes time. I'm willing to take that time," he replied earnestly. "I want to show you that I've changed. I want to be the brother you and those kids deserve." "There's a lot of anger beneath the surface," she confessed, her voice thick with emotion. "I can't just forget." "I don't expect you to," he said, feeling the urgency of sincerity course through him. "I want to start small, even if that means just being here, being real, sharing music, sharing life like we used to." Clara turned to face him, uncertainty lingering in her expression. "Music? You think that will bring everything back together? It's been years since you played for us." "It might not solve everything, but it's a start," he replied earnestly. "Music has always been a part of who we are. It reminds us of love, of family. I want to create those moments again." As Clara considered his words, Jack could see the walls around her heart begin to shift. "Time won't heal everything automatically," she finally said, a flicker of compassion shining through. "I know," he assured her, the weight of each word pressing with sincerity. "But I'm here to try. For you, for the kids, for what we once had. I want to be a part of their lives again. I want to help them grow." A moment passed, and Clara took a hesitant step towards him. "If we're going to mend what's broken, you need to acknowledge everything, every hurt, every hard truth. It won't be an easy road." Jack nodded solemnly. "Whatever it takes. I'll be patient. I'll listen. I want to rebuild trust, piece by piece." In that moment, the tension began to lift. Clara's gaze softened, and Jack felt a fragile hope bloom between them. "Then, let's start there. But you will have to earn it, Jack. Step by step." "I'm ready," he replied, feeling a conviction surge within him. For the first time in years, he felt like a part of something again, like he could fight for what truly mattered. As night fell and the shadows lengthened, they began to share stories, laughter cutting through the weight of years apart. They reminisced about their childhood, their dreams, and the intertwining path that had brought them to this moment. Jack could see that Clara too was yearning for a connection, and he felt a flicker of warmth as the walls surrounding her heart crumbled just a little. And as they forged a new beginning amidst the echoes of the past, Jack couldn't help but think, maybe the shadows weren't as daunting as they seemed. Maybe together they could create new melodies from the fragments of their lives, harmonizing through forgiveness and the promise of a bright future. Days turned into weeks after Jack's emotional reunion with Clara, and each passing moment deepened their fragile bond. Jack returned to the barn often, where the air still hummed with the melodies he had first played. It became his sanctuary, a sacred space where he explored the roots of his music and cultivated the desire to mend his connections. With Clara's support, he had begun to reintegrate into family life, but it was at the barn, guitar warmed under his fingers, where he felt the most alive. Songs poured from him like spring rain, bursting forth with stories of love, regret, and the resilience of the human spirit. He wrote a new song, "Coming Home," a heartfelt ballad that spoke of forgiveness and the journey back to love. One afternoon, pulling the strings softly, Jack poured his soul into each note, feeling the sun warm his shoulders. The barn was filled with sounds that echoed off the weathered wood, notes dancing in the light like memories finally freed. When the final chord faded, he caught his breath, tears glistening in the corners of his eyes. He felt lighter, unshackled from the burdens he'd carried for too long. "You have an incredible gift," Clara's voice broke through his introspection, startling him. She stood at the entrance, a knowing smile on her face, her kids flanking her side, curiosity radiating from their bright eyes. "Can we hear more?" Her encouragement wrapped around him like a comforting embrace. He gestured them inside, the kids rushing forward to sit cross-legged on the barn floor, while Clara leaned against the wall, arms crossed, a mixture of pride and encouragement radiating from her. "What do you want to hear?" Jack asked, eager to share. "Play that one," one of the children shouted, bouncing with excitement. Clara raised her brow. "You wrote that just now?" "Yeah," Jack replied, his heart racing. "It's called Coming Home." As he played, he watched their reactions. the way the children's eyes glimmered with interest, the flicker of understanding washing over Clara's face. The lyrics spoke of loss, but were also laced with hope. Hope for love, for rebuilding, for returning to oneself. Each chord resonated with the struggles he had faced, not just with his career, but with the people he loved. When he finished, silence fell like a blanket of warmth. Clara stepped forward, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "That was beautiful, Jack. You've poured your heart into it." Jack glanced at the children, seeing deep admiration written across their faces. "Thank you. I want to share more, teach you both how to play, to write your own songs." "Can we?" one of the kids asked, bouncing on the balls of their feet. "Yes," Jack replied, filled with enthusiasm. "But it won't just be songs. We'll share stories and dreams and build new memories together." Over the following days, they gathered in the barn for music lessons, laughter echoing amidst the hay. Jack found joy in this rebirth. He soaked in each moment of connection, watching the love he had missed blossom anew. Clara often joined them too, nurturing bonds once thought frayed beyond repair. One afternoon, as they strummed guitars and created melodies from nothing but air, Jack felt a stirring within him, a desire to play for a wider audience, a wish to share his journey of redemption through music. "What if I organized a small family concert?" he asked, looking over at Clara. "We could invite friends, share our music, and celebrate this new chapter." Clara's eyes sparkled with excitement. "That could be incredible. It would give you a chance to show everyone what you've been working on, and they'd see how far you've come." Encouraged by her enthusiasm, Jack set to work organizing the event. They spread the word amidst the community, inviting friends and family. Days passed in a joyful buzz of anticipation as they rehearsed. His once quiet barn transformed into a lively stage filled with love and laughter. Finally, the day of the concert arrived. The barn glowed under twinkling lights, the scent of homemade treats wafting in the air. Excited chatter filled the space, and Jack felt a mixture of nerves and exhilaration. Clara stood by his side, a reassuring presence amidst the flurry. As the concert began, Jack took the stage, guitar in hand, and silence washed over the eager crowd. He could see familiar faces, friends, neighbors, and loved ones. Remembering the journey he had taken, he took a deep breath and began to play, "Coming Home." The song flowed like a river, intertwining threads of nostalgia and realization. He poured his heart into each note, and as he sang, he remembered each difficult moment, each lost connection, and how he was finally reclaiming the pieces of himself he thought he'd lost forever. Clara's eyes sparkled from the front row, pride swelling in her heart. As he finished, the applause shattered the air, echoing in his chest. Jack looked out at the crowd. His family gathered together, and he felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. "Thank you, everyone, for being here," he said, stepping forward, his voice steady. "This past year has taught me more about love and forgiveness than I ever dreamed possible. I plan to fill my life with music again, but more importantly, I plan to fill it with the people I love." Embraces followed, Clara's warm wrap around him, and the children's little hands finding his, pulling him down into their laughter. In that moment, he felt at home, accepted and cherished, not just as a musician, but as a brother, uncle, and friend. The night unfolded like a dream, filled with joy, songs, and connections deepened. Jack's heart swelled. He realized that music flowed through everything: the laughter, the storytelling, the lessons learned. What had once been a source of pain had transformed into a powerful tool for healing. Under the Texas stars, Jack knew that while the shadows of the past would always linger, they would no longer define him. He had found redemption among family. A new song blossomed from the roots of his journey, and together they would build a brighter future, one filled with music, love, and the beauty of homecoming. In the weeks following the concert, Jack found himself surrounded by a world bursting with renewed connections and purpose. The barn had transformed into a gathering place, not just for music, but for family and friends joining in shared laughter and stories. It became a haven, alive with notes and memories woven together, a testament to resilience and the promise of brighter tomorrows. As the sun painted the Texas sky in hues of orange and gold, Jack stood once more in the barn, guitar in hand. The children had taken to their lessons with zeal, their enthusiasm infectious. One afternoon, Clara walked in as Jack was practicing a new song, laughter echoing through the rafters as he tried to keep pace with their youthful exuberance. "Can we play our song now?" one of the children asked, bright-eyed and hopeful. Of course, let's show Clara, Jack stated, excitement bubbling within him. They gathered around him, mouths forming words in their own hearts, while Jack strummed the opening chords of a simple tune they had crafted together. Under his guidance, they had created a playful song about friendship and discovery, and as the music filled the barn, he could hear the children's voices blending with his, raw and pure. Clara leaned against the doorframe, a smile dancing on her lips as she watched her kids lose themselves in the music. Jack took a moment to admire their innocent joy, reflecting on how far they had all come. The barn was a barrier against the outside world, a cocoon where feelings could be expressed, pain healed, and connections strengthened. Let's give it another go, Jack encouraged, his heart swelling with pride. He could see how his passion for music had ignited a fire in them, and it fueled his own spirit even further. After a few rounds of their song, Clara called for a break. All right, everyone, let's grab some lemonade and take a breather. As the kids dashed outside, Clara remained behind, her expression thoughtful. You've really found your place here, haven't you? It feels right, Jack admitted, planting the guitar down and taking a seat on a hay bale. Every day I'm rediscovering parts of myself I thought were lost. Clara settled beside him, their bond strong and tangible. I can see it. You're not just a musician anymore. You're a mentor, a father figure. I have moments of doubt, Clara, he confessed, an unfamiliar fragility creeping in. What if this doesn't last? I've built something beautiful here, but what if it falls apart again? Some days will be harder than others, Clara reassured him, placing a hand on his shoulder. But it's not about having everything figured out, it's about being present, nurturing what you have now. You're doing that. Jack couldn't help but smile brightly at her encouragement, feeling the warmth of support envelop him. I want to keep evolving, to keep showing them that music is more than notes and chords. It's a lifeline. Yet beneath the surface, Jack's yearning to share his newfound wisdom danced uneasily with self-doubt. He found himself questioning whether he could truly make a difference in the lives of those he loved. His thoughts often drifted back to the tumultuous years behind him, times when he'd felt adrift, lost in the frenzy of fame, at the expense of relationships that now mattered more than ever. One afternoon, Jack called Clara and the children to gather around him. I've been thinking, he started, the weight of unspoken feelings grounding his voice. Why don't we take this music beyond the barn? We could organize community sessions, workshops where everyone can play, learn, and share their stories. Clara's eyes widened with surprise and delight. That's an incredible idea. Music has such a beautiful ability to connect us all. We could reach out to those who might be feeling alone, provide them a space to express themselves. Encouraged by her enthusiasm, Jack dove into planning, conceptualizing ideas he hadn't dared to imagine weeks before. A series of weekend workshops blossomed before him, open to all ages and skill levels, a celebration of music and community. The event ignited excitement in the small town, individuals buzzing about the opportunity to participate. Jack felt a sense of purpose swell within him, a desire to build bridges while uplifting spirits. Each flyer he hung was like threading a new stitch into the beautiful fabric of their community. But as the day approached, familiar anxieties crept back. Jack found himself rehearsing, questioning whether he could truly lead a new generation of musicians. The night before the first workshop, he lay awake, listening to the sounds of the night, the subtle rustle of wind through the trees, and the distant call of a night owl. Everything felt so fragile, as if a single movement could undo the healing he'd fought to achieve. Clara found him the next morning, sleep-deprived, yet bright-eyed. You're going to be amazing today, she said confidently. Right before the workshop began, Jack stood in the barn, taking it all in. The instruments, the excited chatter of attendees. He felt a rush of adrenaline coursing through him. Once everyone was settled, Jack took center stage, heart racing but resolute. Welcome everyone, I'm so glad you're here. Today isn't just about music. It's about sharing experiences, healing through art, and building a supportive community together. The hands that rose and fell on guitars and keyboards, the voices that echoed through the barn. It was a symphony of belonging. Jack felt the walls he had built around himself dissolving as he led the group through their first song. As laughter, music, and connection rippled throughout the barn, Jack finally began to understand what it meant to belong. The fear that had cluttered his heart began to dissipate, replaced by a deep-seated gratitude that rooted him firmly in the future he was creating. Each workshop brought in new faces, different stories, and a sense of intertwined lives. He heard stories of struggle and triumph, each person experiencing their own journey through music. Jack led them not just as a teacher, but as a companion on their journey, realizing that in guiding others, he was learning to heal himself. Time moved slowly, rich with the essence of those moments. Jack had carved out his place in the world, no longer just seeking redemption, but actively living a new path filled with hope. It was during one of those jubilant gatherings that it hit him. His life wasn't just a collection of individual actions, but a beautiful mosaic, crafted by his relationships and the music they shared. Each step taken toward forgiveness had become a brushstroke on the canvas of his existence. And as he looked around at the faces of those who had gathered, a sense of belonging washed over him. Jack knew that together they were crafting a symphony of life, one that transcended heartbreak and painted a landscape filled with connection and love. As the weeks passed, the workshops flourished, bringing together a vibrant tapestry of people from all walks of life. Each gathering in the barn felt electric, charged with laughter, shared stories, and the comforting rhythm of music that echoed off the walls. Jack had unknowingly become a beacon of hope in the community. Through the notes that curled into the air, he saw lives intertwine like melodies harmonizing into a brilliant symphony. One crisp morning, as the sun peeked over the horizon, Jack arrived early to set up for the day's workshop. Birds chirped overhead, and the gentle rustling of leaves surrounded him like an embrace. He felt a flicker of excitement mixed with a nagging sense of uncertainty. Each time they dove into a new workshop, he wondered if he was doing enough, if he could truly help others heal through music. His heart raced with both anticipation and fear as he prepared for a special session on songwriting. Clara arrived, her energy infectious as she joined him on the porch of the barn. "What's on your mind?" she asked, noticing the faraway look in his eyes. "I hope today goes well," he admitted, glancing down at the guitar in his hands. "We're diving into songwriting, but what if they struggle? What if I can't guide them to find their voices?" Clara chuckled softly, giving him an encouraging nudge. "You've already shown them how powerful music can be. This is just the next step in their journey. Let them explore their feelings and find their own rhythm." He smiled at Clara's reassurance, the corners of his mouth curling up into a warm grin. "Right, let them express themselves. I just want to help." Before long, participants trickled in, filling the barn with chatter and anticipation. Jack noticed familiar faces from previous sessions, but today felt different. The air buzzed with potential, the crowd's eagerness palpable. "Welcome everyone," Jack called out as they settled into a circle. "Today we're going to explore songwriting, sharing your stories through lyrics. Music is a powerful tool, and when you write, you become the authors of your own journey." As he set the stage, Jack encouraged them to think about moments in their lives, both joyous and painful. He shared his own songs, recounting the stories behind them, revealing the vulnerability that lived in the heart of every musician. "You're not alone in your struggles," he said, his voice steady yet passionate. "Every note has a story, and it's a reflection of the journey we walk." Papers and pens replaced the instruments momentarily as they took on the challenge of expressing their emotions through words. Jack wandered among them, offering guidance and encouragement, easing their fears with patience and understanding. The transformation was remarkable. Faces that had once worn the mask of uncertainty now lit up with creativity and inspiration as they penned their truths. He stopped to chat with a woman named Emily, who, despite her initial apprehension, bravely shared snippets of her life, a mix of loss and hope intertwined. "Music was always my escape," she confessed, her voice trembling. "But I haven't written anything in years. What if no one wants to hear my story?" "We're here to listen," Jack replied softly, taking a seat beside her. "Share your heart, Emily. Your story matters." Her eyes glistened with emotion as she began to write. Jack felt a stir of admiration for the courage it took to begin unraveling the fabric of her experiences into words. He moved on, guiding others like Ivy, who shared stories of love and heartbreak, weaving her struggles into a poignant verse that struck a chord within Jack. As the workshop unfolded, he witnessed the cathartic release of emotions. A young man scribbling lyrics about his struggles with anxiety, a teenage girl pouring her unfiltered joy into a song about friendship, and a grandfather recalling his late wife through a heartfelt ballad that echoed with love. When it was time to share, Jack encouraged each participant to read what they had written, creating a tapestry of voices that resonated throughout the barn. What started as individual expressions soon grew into a collective anthem of resilience and hope. Emily stood up, trembling yet determined as she began to share her lyrics. With each line, her voice grew stronger, enveloping the room in a wave of vulnerability that left the audience spellbound. Tears sparkled in Jack's eyes as he watched her transformation. Her courage inspired everyone present. When she finished, the barn erupted into applause. Jack felt a swell of pride, a blend of gratitude and love. This was what it was all about, connecting through the shared language of music, embracing one another's stories no matter how different they seemed. As the day faded into dusk, a feeling of unity rippled through the gathering, a testament to the power of community. Jack called everyone together for a closing circle, each person glowing with newfound confidence and a sense of belonging. "Today we've created something beautiful," he said, looking at the faces illuminated by the evening light. "You've each poured your hearts out, and it's an honor to share this journey with you. Remember, music can heal, and so can stories. Never underestimate the strength of your voice." As they mingled and shared laughter, Clara stepped forward and pulled him aside. "You did it, Jack. I can't believe how far everyone has come. You've created something truly special." He smiled, but his heart carried an unease that lingered in the corners of his mind. The joy of the day faded slightly under the weight of uncertainty for what lay ahead. "But what if it's not enough?" he confided. "What if they need more than I can give?" "Growth takes time," Clara reassured him, her gaze steady. "You've sparked something in them. Keep nurturing that flame." Jack watched the happiness dancing in their eyes, realizing that while he couldn't solve all their problems, he could be part of their journey. The stories they shared today would resonate well beyond the barn walls, touching others in ways he might never see. But as night enveloped the Texas sky, something ignited within him, an assurance that perhaps, just perhaps, all he needed to do was to continue walking this path, allowing the melodies of life to guide him forward. The spark of inspiration he felt from his community reminded him that this was not just about healing for them, it was about healing for himself too. Filled with purpose, Jack devoted himself to fostering this family, a symphony of lives entwined by music, each note a step toward understanding, nurturing connection, and embracing the beauty of vulnerability. And thus, he took one more step into the light of a future he never knew he could embrace. As summer unfolded, the barn thrived, becoming a cherished hub for community connection. Jack's workshops continued to flourish, attracting individuals from neighboring towns, eager to share their stories through music. Word spread rapidly, capturing the hearts of those seeking solace and creativity. The anticipation surrounding their upcoming concert built excitement in the air. On a sun-drenched afternoon, while preparing the barn for the event, Jack noticed a shy teenager named Sam, clutching his guitar but hesitating outside the group. "Hey, Sam," Jack called, walking over. "Excited for the concert?" "I'm scared," Sam admitted. "What if I mess up? I've never played in front of anyone before." Jack knelt down beside him, meeting his gaze with understanding. "You're going to be amazing. It's about sharing your heart, not perfection. Just remember, we're all here to support you." With Jack's encouragement, Sam nodded, a flicker of determination igniting in his eyes. Jack felt a surge of pride. Every small victory represented a shift toward healing. On concert night, the barn transformed into a magical venue, glowing with lights and handmade decorations. Families settled onto blankets, laughter ringing through the warm summer air. Excitement crackled as Jack stepped onto the stage, heart racing. "Thank you all for being here tonight. This is more than a concert. It's a celebration of our stories and our music," he announced, feeling the energy of the crowd pulse. One by one, performers nervously took to the stage, revealing their souls through song. The sight of Sam stepping into the spotlight fueled Jack's own determination. He watched as the boy strummed his guitar, initially shaky but quickly finding his rhythm, the nervousness melting away into confidence. The audience erupted in applause, encouraging him onward. As each musician performed, the barn echoed with a symphony of laughter, tears, and joy. Jack marveled at the way these individuals transformed before his eyes, each note they played solidifying connections forged through vulnerability. Near the concert's end, the lights glinted off the faces of the audience. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Jack stood surrounded by friends, neighbors, and fellow musicians, realizing the profound impact of their shared journey. In the aftermath, Clara slipped by Jack's side. "You've created something amazing here," she said, her eyes sparkling with pride. This is just the beginning," Jack said, smiling broadly. As night fell and stars began to twinkle overhead, they gathered in a circle outside the barn. Together they shared lemonade, laughter, and stories, creating an atmosphere filled with warmth and kinship. Each person's journey added a vibrant thread to the collective tapestry they were weaving, embodying the heart of community. Jack reflected on the transformation he had witnessed, the way hesitation turned to courage and doubt gave way to determination. He understood now that it wasn't solely about his own healing. It was about uplifting others as they navigated their paths. With newfound vigor, Jack felt ready to explore more possibilities. They discussed plans for more events, expanding their outreach and inviting even more people into their musical family. As he looked around at those gathered, warmth filled his heart. He had finally found his place. The journey that had once felt so isolating now lay before him in a vivid tapestry of songs, shared stories, and unbreakable connections. It dawned on Jack that every moment from the past had prepared him for this. His struggles and triumphs culminated in a powerful call to create community through shared expression. Together, they were writing a new song, a celebration of life, of love, and of the healing power of music. That starry night, Jack felt a sense of peace wash over him, knowing that the bonds they had cultivated would only continue to deepen. With hope lighting the way, he embraced the uncertain beauty of the future, eager to see where the music would take them next. Each day would bring new melodies and stories to tell, and he couldn't wait to hear them all.